Welcome to the Retro Hack Shack. I'm Aaron Newcomb. As you can tell by that different intro to the show that I'm actually going to be opening some boxes today for the first time. Now, full disclosure, some of these are things that friends of mine have sent in or dropped off, but a lot of them are things that I've bought myself. So this is not all donations, and I don't want it to seem like that, but they're things that I've bought. Some of them can't really remember what exactly they are, but I know they're all things that I've bought that are retro related and may be featured in upcoming episodes. So instead of just unboxing these off camera in my own time, I had this big stack. I figured why not go ahead and feature it here. The other thing I wanted to share is that I'm actually taking donations. So if you want to donate something to the channel for me to either feature or use that you think I could use, you can actually mail that to me. I'll put the address on the screen, and you can also find that in the about page on the YouTube channel. So I don't know if this is going to be interesting or not, but we'll go ahead and open some packages, and you can tell me whether you think it's interesting. I think what I'll do is I'll open them here, and then if there's anything that needs a little further inspection or a closer look with the camera, I will go ahead and swing around to the bench and take a top-down view of anything that might need to be looked at a little bit more closely or inspected a little bit more closely. So without that, let's go ahead and start with the first package. All right, so this one's already a little tough to get into. Aha, so this is some 720K discs. And I got these because I've had some issues in the past running. I can format, 1.44 megabyte disks to 720K, but occasionally they're difficult to read. And when I was watching one of Adrian Black's recent videos, where he was having some issues with this, trying to get some disks to load that were larger capacity disks in a 720K drive, he was having some problems, and I went out and looked in my stash, and almost all of them are 1.44 megabytes. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and get a pack of 720K native disks and see if I ever need those. Hopefully I won't run into that problem in the future. But I know I've already hit it a couple of times with my Tandy 1000, so it's nice to have some native 720K disks to use for that. All right, next up is an Amazon package, and I think by the shape of this, I know it's a book. And indeed it is. So this is a book called Once Upon Atari, How I Made History by Killing an Industry. And this is by Howard Scott Warshaw, who created a lot of the Atari games. If you grew up with Atari, you probably played his games. Most famously, he was the one who had to program the ATT cartridge, which was a big flop. Some call it the worst video game of all time. I don't think it is. I think that's overkill. But he recently came out with a book, and I believe there's a video series or a small documentary as well that goes along with this. But he came out with this, and I really wanted to read it, so I went ahead and got it. I love to read the history of the industry back in the day. I'm currently going through Fire in the Valley. If you haven't read that book, I'm listening to it as an audiobook, which I do with most of my books, but I highly recommend that one. That one's really good. It goes through a lot of the early history, especially even the days before 1977, with things like the Apple II and the PET and the TRS-80 computers that came out. So even before that, going all the way back to Altair and so forth. They go over a lot of history, and it's really good. So I recommend that book as well. Okay, I'm not sure what this one is, but it looks like an eBay purchase of some sort. Always nice when things are packaged properly with cardboard. I recently had a package that was not packaged, sorry for the redundancy, well, and I'll be featuring that on an upcoming quick fix video. But that's probably the worst package I've ever received. This one is just fine, packaged with some cardboard and a wrap. Oh yeah, this is a, wow, it's really yellow. This is an Allsop disc cleaning system. And it's got both the 5 1/4 and the 3.5 inch discs in there. And I had 3.5 inch already. I did not have the 5 1/4. So I've been looking for a 5 1/4 inch disc system for a while. So that'll be really good just to do a quick clean on some of the heads, so you don't have to necessarily open up the entire mechanism to be able to clean those drives. So that'll be really handy. So this package is from Farnell, and I believe I know what this one is now just by looking at who it's from. If you don't know, Farnell and Newark carry a lot of the Raspberry Pi boards and accessories and things like that. And I believe that should give you a hint as to what this is. Indeed. So this is the Raspberry Pi 400 personal computer kit. I went ahead and got this. I was actually, even though I wrote a book on the Raspberry Pi, I was not going to pick up the Raspberry Pi 400 simply because I have a lot of them around. I wasn't sure really what I was going to do with it, but I've got some ideas about what I can do with the Raspberry Pi 400 that's retro related. And so I went ahead and got one, and that'll probably be featured in an upcoming episode as well. So yeah, pretty cool. Can't wait to open this up. So this package is actually not something I purchased. This is from Evie Solomon. So thank you, Evie, for sending this my way. I know what this is because you sent me an email about it, and I'm really excited to see it and do an episode about it. Now, Evie, if you don't know, is the designer of the... Just get all this stuff out. Evie is the designer of the Fakebit, and I showed this on a recent episode, but she made the Fakebit, which is a cartridge for Commodore 64, which allows you to instantly load programs into the Commodore 64, browse a menu through by using an SD card, and you can very quickly load, I believe, cartridge files, disk files. I'll do probably a whole episode on the Fakebit itself. And I also bought the VIC-20 adapter from her, so you can load VIC-20 disk images as well and load those. So everything loads super fast. I'll do a whole episode on the Fakebit because it really is that good. I believe it was featured on, I recommended to her, I met her at the Vintage Computer Club that I run at the local makerspace here, and I recommended that she send the Fakebit into Yon Beta, and she did. And it was featured there, and it's a really great product. So I'm going to be taking a look at that. So yeah, let's go ahead and take this over to the bench, and I'll take a closer look at what she sent. First things first, we have a USB cable. That's not necessarily all that exciting, but you can see here, this is the Fakebit chip tester. Now, when I was having some issues with a Commodore 64, Evie came and brought a prototype of her chip tester to help diagnose some of the chips on the board, still in the board, without desoldering them. And based on that, I was able to fix one of the Commodore 64s. So I assume that was quite a while ago. So I assume she's been working on this, and that this is something now that's ready for testing. So let's see what all is in here. It says clip adapter. So we'll have to see what that is. It looks like maybe this is where the pins go. Maybe there's some pins that go on there and go out to, I don't know, something. Here's some jumpers. And, ooh, look how nice that looks. Wow, I'm impressed. So looks like there's a couple maybe PCBs. Maybe that's just a back plate. I don't know. Definitely a PCB in there. LCD screen. And then a lot of pins to connect things with. And it looks like you can even insert a chip in there, perhaps to test it. So this will be really interesting. I don't know whether this is going to be, whether you select the type of chip it is, put it in, hit test if it's loose, or maybe you can do some in-circuit testing as well. We'll have to see, but that's really cool. It says attach clip for in-circuit tests. So this must be the clip, I'm assuming. So this looks like a little adapter. Not sure what that's for, but it looks like it might go in. I don't think that goes in the cartridge slot. No, a little adapter. I'm not sure what that's for. Here's the, it says Fakebit Cornbit XL programmable ROM. So that looks pretty cool. Let's just get that out and take a quick look. I don't want to... There we go. So here's a little programmable ROM board. Huh. Looks like it's got a little memory chip on there. Oh, that's really cool. There's a lot of little pieces here that go with this. Oh, and there's an explanation of the dip switches there. And then this says the Cornbit programmable ROM, another programmable ROM, same thing. So very interesting, 2 programmable ROMs. And then the tester. And this will be interesting. There's no clip that I can see. I'll have to ask her and see whether she was going to send me a clip or not, or just for loose chip testing. And I do have some chips that could be tested. So I do have some memory chips, some logic chips. I don't know whether it does, only the Commodore 64 chips or whether it does general logic stuff as well. So, yeah, and I've got a bunch of other chips in here too. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what this thing can do. I'm really looking forward to doing an episode on it. So thank you very much, Evie, and I will be talking to you if I have issues getting this set up. All right, so I'm not really sure what this is. Again, something I ordered, I'm sure. Aha! Let me open this other part. So this should look familiar for those of you who watch. Oh, neat. There's a tape in here too. So in a recent video, I was trying to remake or re-record old Commodore tapes and then use an actual Commodore dataset to load those tapes into a Commodore 64. And I was having some issues and I wanted a second player to be able to compare different things, voltage levels, the level of the audio coming off the playhead, things like that. It's really hard with retro computers if you only have one to do a repair on something else. A lot of times you're shooting in the dark if you've either never worked on one before or if you don't have another one for reference. When you have a second unit for reference, it helps immensely because you can see, hey, this voltage level looks a little off. This capacitor isn't quite the right value or maybe needs to be changed out. Really helps to have a second unit. So I'll be using this to do part 2 of my attempt to load, remake Commodore cassettes and be able to play them back in through a Commodore dataset like this. And there's an actual tape here. So this is Commodore 64, An Introduction to Basic, Part 1. And it's two-sided. There must be a book to go along with this, An Introduction to Basic, Part 1. I don't know if you can see that. But yeah, that'll be really cool. If this still works, this could help me diagnose the problems I was having before. So that's awesome. All right, next up, a random box. Let's see what this is. Oh, I saw some writing on it. Ooh! Yes. So you may recognize what this is just from looking at these cartridges here. Here we go. So this is a Famicom. This was, of course, the predecessor to the Nintendo video game system that was released here in the US. So this is an actual Famicom from Japan. It's in kind of rough shape, but I believe everything is here except for the power adapter. So I'll need to find an AC adapter for that, but the controllers are here. Who knows? This may be a good video to go through and repair. And there's a number of cartridges as well. Of course, I don't know exactly what these are because they're all in Japanese, but that's okay. I'm sure we can figure it out once we play them. But yeah, this is great. I saw this online from somebody I know, and I made him an offer for it, and he decided to go with it. So I got this for very little money, and I'm really looking forward to playing with this. I've never played with, oh, here's Tetris. So that one at least has the English writing on it. I've never played a Famicom before with a Famicom, so that's going to be really fun. And, you know, who knows? If it doesn't work, then there could be a very interesting repair video in there for us as well. So very cool. Okay, next up is this rather long, heavy box here. Let's see what it is. Looks like one of those where the shipper took a box and kind of folded it themselves to make it work. But that does make it harder to get out in this case. I guess the easy way is just to turn it over. Okay. This is something I ordered to go with an upcoming episode. Ooh. Ugh. Smoky room. Yuck. This is an AT&T Keyboard, KBD 301. And this goes with a computer that I'm going to be featuring on an upcoming episode, the AT&T 6300. I believe it was AT&T's first, maybe, IBM compatible that they built. They were doing Unix boxes before that. And anyway, there's a whole history to, whether AT&T actually built this. But yeah, this is a keyboard that I needed. I have another keyboard and it was missing some keys, and I happened to just find this one on eBay. This one is definitely filthy. So if I end up using this one for that episode, you'll definitely be seeing me do a cleaning montage, because these keys are just plastered with, ugh, I don't even really want to touch it. But anyway, it's an extra keyboard. It is very heavy too. This thing weighs, I'd say a good 10 pounds actually. So very hefty, really nice sounding keys. Kind of hear the echo there. So yeah, this will be really good to have this extra keyboard. Okay, this is actually something that was dropped off at my doorstep actually, by my buddy Tom, who sent me this as a belated Christmas gift, I think. It says Happy Holidays, and it's scratched out, and it says Happy New Year to Aaron from Tom. So thank you, Tom. This is unexpected and really nice, so I thought I would just go ahead and feature it on this unboxing video. I'm really curious to know whether Tom actually wrapped this himself, or if he got his wife or daughter to wrap it. I'll be asking him, and I'll let you know down at the bottom of the screen once I talk to him. So let's go ahead and open this up. Oh, all right. You know it's good when you see jewel case. Ooh, really nice. Dreamcast. Are these all Dreamcast games? Yeah, they are. I have a Dreamcast, and I didn't really have any official games for it. I had to burn some of my own, which is a little tricky. You got to do some funky stuff. If you want to see a video on that, let me know. But these are Dreamcast games. So I've got Tech Romancer from Capcom and Skies of Arcadia. I don't know if anybody remembers that. Sky's the Limit. That looks like a really fun, must be an RPG, but that looks really, really fun. And then Border Down. Wow. That's awesome. This one is definitely a Japanese title. Tom is into the Japanese games and anime and everything, really. But this one has Japanese written on the back, so this may be a Japanese version. I have to see whether I need to do any region hacking or not to play this on my Dreamcast. So that is pretty cool. I'm really excited about this. Thanks, Tom. Alrighty, let's see what's in this thing. I think I know. Most of the time I know if I open it when I get it. Problem is, if I don't open it right away, I'm old enough that my memory's getting bad and I don't really remember what's in these boxes. At first I thought this was a box for the family because it has Walmart on it. And it came with another Walmart box that actually was from Walmart. This one is not from Walmart. Oh no! The dreaded styrofoam. Okay, yes, this is what I was thinking it was. Let me unpack this and I'll go through and I'll show you what it is. And I'm just going through to see if there's anything else left in here because I'm not sure. Oh, yep. One more. All right, so hopefully by now you can see what this is. It's an Atari 5200, the second game system that Atari made, and I didn't have a 5200, so I went ahead and treated myself to a special present with some money I had, and this is it, the Atari 5200. I'm really excited to play some of these games I've never played, because I've never played an Atari 5200 before. So here's Vanguard, Countermeasures, Super Cobra, really cool. It's amazing how these cartridges are quite a bit different. Of course, the 5200 was not compatible with the 2600 initially. Later, they made an adapter that you could stick in and play 2600 games on it, but initially it was not compatible at all. I also made a video about the history of the Atari 7800 and installed a composite mod in the 7800. If you're interested to those, I will link it up above. But again, never played a 5200. Don't know if this works or not. I don't remember from the listing. So it'll be really cool to see if this works and to play it. Here's the other games that came with it. Popeye, Super Breakout, and Space Dungeon. This is one that I haven't heard of before, and it's actually quite a bit heavier than the other ones, which means it may have some extra memory built into the PCB or something. So that's kind of cool. I'll have to see what that is. The power brick, I'm not going to undo that right now, but this is a very hefty power brick. Reminds me of the Commodore 64 power bricks, a little smaller. And I'm not sure if these had the same issues that the Commodore power bricks had. If you know, leave me a comment below. But I definitely will be testing the voltage on this thing before I plug it in. And last but not least, I'm hoping this is the controller that goes with it. Otherwise, it'll be a sad day indeed. Yep, it is. More packing peanuts. Ah, they're going everywhere. All right, so this is indeed the controller that goes with it. Again, not sure if it works or not. This was a little bit unique. It kind of took the Intellivision system and then, combined it with this mashup of a controller. These are notorious for going bad, so I'm guessing this may make its way onto a video as well, because this may need to be repaired, and I'll be on the market for one more controller so that we can have some two-player action.
It's twice the fun when two play at once, because you need all the help you can get.
So that's really cool. I'm really looking forward to trying this out and seeing if it works. Well, that's it. That's everything that I had to open. If you enjoyed an unboxing video and would like to see more, go ahead and like this video or subscribe. If there's anything that I opened today that you want to see an episode about, either a repair episode or a little bit more detail, maybe a history of the Atari 5200 or a mod for the 5200 or anything that I featured, vote that up in the comments below. Leave a comment saying, I really want to see a video about the AT&T 6300 computer, and then vote that up, and I'll definitely prioritize those videos to make. So this has been a lot of fun for me, even though I have a big mess now to go clean up. So I hope you liked it. If you did, like I said, like and subscribe, or consider supporting me on Patreon, or just follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you want to see what I'm up to in between episodes. With that, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. If you want to support me on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/retrohackshack and sign up. If you support me at a high enough level, you can get your picture in the credits, just like Parker here.